You guys, so I hope you've had a great Monday today, a trader's favorite day, at least mine. But I want to just quickly take you guys to the charts and give you three stocks that I want you guys to keep on your radar the rest of this week. Now, initially, we were going to look at like Palantir, Amazon, also Netflix. If you watched my last video where I talked about the news you may have missed, where Netflix has the 10-for-1 split incoming, we'll kind of get back to that once that split happens. But tonight, I want to look at three stocks that I want to put on your radar because one of the things about me where I really prioritize swing trading is looking for a great setup that I can act on and I can also hold this trade for an extended period of time. Those three tickers are MRK, RGTI, and IONQ. Okay, you may have heard me talk about Rigetti and IONQ before in previous videos where I said that these quantum stocks could go crazy. That was about 2 months ago. And those things have been up massively since. But I saw some great setups on all three of these top charts that I want you guys to watch. Now, with MRK, they recently had earnings and they actually came down, but they are in a very good spot that I want you guys to watch to kind of see how this thing plays out. Now, if you're in my Skool community, you already know that we did a trade together on MRK, amazing play. And so now I want to revisit the MRK charts again because this level that we are at is one that's been on my radar. I had an alert set for it. This thing went off. Now we're going to go to it. So I want to take you guys to the chart so we can get into these setups, what you need to watch, potential entries and exits, and just something that you can have that could also act as some, I won't say super low risk, but definitely some lower scale trades versus the bigger ones with like Netflix, Meta, even Spotify that I wanted to look at originally. Something that has some affordable premiums that you guys can easily get into without going in with your entire account. You're going to look at MRK. Now, as you can see, MRK had their earnings on October 30th, and it didn't, make this parabolic upside move, but as you can see, we are back at a spot, and this little piece here is where I have this alert here to let me know when we were getting back here. Now, I'm going to remove it so that we can kind of mark up the chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little horizontal line here, okay? And we are going to go over to the daily time frame so that we can take some of these candles off and I can show you guys what I mean by a good spot. So as you see where we have all of these little touches, so looking mostly in this area here, we got that old resistance there. We kind of got a little bit of it here. No closes above that level, but a little overkill, but it closed below it. Again, up in this area, here again, and you guys see where we are right now. So this is what I'm looking to take place with MRK. If we can hold above this level, let's look at this. This low here is 82.34. If we can hold above this, then we can look to push back up. But if it breaks below this low level here, then you kind of look at this somewhere as what we would call a fair value gap and kind of getting all of this here filled in, okay? So breaking below that can kind of open the door for us to retest 80.56, and then we can kind of push to these lower levels of around 78, and then fully getting this entire little piece here filled out and potentially coming down to about 77.55. Okay, so I'm going to put a level horizontal line here, and we can kind of look at it there. Now we can also see here on this RSI on this daily it's sitting at about 38, which gives the indication that the stock is oversold. Now depending on how this thing plays out at market opening tomorrow, if it does decide it wants to come back down a little bit, I will be looking for all of these levels here that I mentioned to be tested. Okay, so around this area, breaking below that opens the door for these lower areas to be tested and potentially pushing it back up. Okay, because you can kind of see where these heavy little pieces are here, and then we also have some heavy reaction here as well at 76.01 from this little part here to the left, and then kind of make it our way over. Okay, so remember, this is a longer term trade to where I'm looking to hold for anywhere between 2, 3, 4 weeks on my expiration and trim as we get to newer levels. Okay, holding above that, right up in here, I was looking at this little area here around 85.66 as a potential first target, and then we got this little piece up here at around 87, and then we got this higher top right around here, around 90. Now, something just simple to keep in mind that JP Morgan has raised the price target for MRK to 100 from the original 98, and sometimes the price target being raised or lowered can result in the stock pushing up or down to kind of accommodate the new price target. So just something to keep in mind. But the last trade that we did with MRK was a great play. And so revisiting this one, it was nice. Well, I would say easy to enter. Premiums weren't too expensive. And so working with a small account, it can work. Just, of course, plan accordingly and get enough time on your expiration. The next one we are going to go to is IONQ. Now, IONQ at this very moment is working with a bear flag. So this one here is a quantum computing stock. Okay, so I've talked a lot about quantum computing stocks over the last few months as we've seen this major push in AI. So really quickly, when you're looking for a flag, you're likely going to look for a downtrend. Okay, you see this little here, and then we're going to come and we're going to push this thing up. We're going to get another one, and we're going to push it up around this area here. So it can be a perfect little flag, but nevertheless, we see that flag here. Okay, something to keep in mind, they have earnings coming up on November 5th. Earnings can push a stock in either direction, but what I'm looking to see is if the stock can push back up to where I have this alert here at about 65.38 to see if we can get back up here, because I was looking for a retest here, and then we start coming back out. Now, this thing could be done one of two ways. You can look for some heavy resistance up here in this area where I have that to see if it rejects, and then we start pushing down, get back here, we break out of that, and we start to see this bear flag play out. Or you can wait for a breakout to take place a little bit further and ride this thing down. Okay, now the main thing I was also looking for is right up in here was for us to get back below this level here, in which we did. So we kind of got back below that, and then I was going to see how this thing plays out going into tomorrow to where we can possibly open lower than this 56 level here, and then of course we can start setting targets. And I'm gonna kind of look at this little bit here around $52, around this little area at the bottom of that, and then getting below that, of course, we can look to test these levels right up in here where I have my next target set at around 48.46. Remember, long-term play, but it's a high possibility that if it gets here, and mainly here at this little heavy level here, that it could definitely hold up. We see how heavy this area was with it's holding up, finally breaking above it, and it's been up there since. Okay, so this little breakout here happened back in September, so a retest here could be a heavy level to see this thing begin to push back up. So getting in, these will be my two lower targets here to hold, and just kind of react to each level as we go, trim my position size or close it all together once it's hit, so I'm not overstaying my welcome. Okay, so that's IONQ to keep on your radar. Now let's look at the last one, which is RGTI, which is Rigetti Computing, and they have a similar setup on their end, which is a bear flag. Okay, we got here same thing that we just looked at IONQ, and here. Okay, and something that you may notice with a lot of quantum computing stock, especially the smaller ones, is that they're all sort of moving similar to each other. Okay, so RGTI is just another one of those ones that I've been trading and holding for a while, and so I kind of keep coming back to this one and just kind of keep it on my own radar to kind of see how it plays out. So you can kind of see where we have this same setup here, and then I'm going to put a low line here where you can see we got these touches here, this little resistance, get that breakout. You see what happens when we retest that level and we begin to kind of push up. It's kind of consolidate to the upside. And right where I have this little alert here at 43.69 is where I was looking for a retest to touch around that area and come down, and I literally missed it right here, because this here, I caught this before this was even made out. Okay, this was last week when I caught that. I said we get another little retest pushed up. We was here, we pushed up again, and I missed my mark. And as you can see, we came down. So I'm not really worried about it because the bear flag still has its opportunity to play out. And so I'm likely either going to see if it pushes back here or if we break below these little lower levels here and then set this $34 as my target right here to come out of that thing. Now, if this bear flag invalidates itself, then I will be looking for a break above this, right up in this area here at about 48.67, and looking to set a higher target right here where we have these two tops at about 57.85, all depending on how things go with earnings, where it's on November 10th. So if I make my move close to earnings, I will likely come out of that trade before that. Okay, but one of the things, unless I have 100% confidence in an earnings trade, I always close that position before it takes place. Okay, so if it runs up, cool. I can catch the opportunity with it coming back down or just marking up new level. But this is currently what we're working with. So if this plays out, we get here. And if we break below that, if I decide to leave a runner, you can see a very clear little support here at about 28.63. Will we get that far? It's possible if they try to bring it all the way down before earnings. But if not, then this is just a little zone that we can watch for additional targets to get out. So where you get in is the most important thing, and where you're getting out is solely up to you and how comfortable you are with the profits that you have. All right, so that's it. MRK, RGTI, and IONQ are the three stocks that I want you guys to keep on your radar for the remainder of the week, to watch these setups and see how they play out so that you can make your move.